Country Cookin'. I'm your hostess, Cindy Schumacher. On today's show, we'll be making Swedish meatballs, red skin mashed potatoes, whipped carrots with cranberries, Jack Daniel's whiskey fudge, and butter brickle biscotti. I thought this time of the year, sometimes it's fun when you're invited to someone's house for dinner or a party or something like that. It's fun to take a hostess gift, and homemade baked goodies are always kind of fun to take because they can actually put them out that evening if they want to. So we're going to start with the biscotti. If you're not familiar with biscotti, it's a twice baked cookie, and it's meant to be a dunker. So you know, this time of the year where you like to have rich gourmet coffees and things like that, a biscotti is kind of a fun thing to have. So we're going to start by creaming a half cup of butter that is softened. And then we have two kinds of sugar. We've got a half cup of granulated sugar and a fourth cup of packed light brown sugar. And cream that together till it's light and fluffy. Now we're going to add 3 eggs, one at a time. I never really mastered the art of cracking eggs open. I always kind of make a mess. I remember growing up watching my mom cook, and she could actually separate the egg yolk from the egg whites just by shuffling it back and forth. Well, I use an egg separator, but and probably some of you know how to do that too, but I just never learned how to do eggs. We're going to add some vanilla. When you're doing something like this, you know, some special dish, a Christmas dessert or something like that, I always use pure vanilla extract. It just, the quality is just makes a better product. So we need 2 teaspoons. If you don't have it, you know, imitation is fine, but if you've got the pure vanilla extract, go ahead and use that. Okay, I have 3 cups of all-purpose flour here. To that, I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, I'm going to whisk those together. I just think that it always makes, there again, I think when you distribute the salt and the baking powder with the flour before you put it in, you just have a better division. Okay, we're going to add it to the cream mixture just a little bit at a time. Okay, when you've got it all mixed well, then we're going to stir in a bag of, I buy the milk chocolate Heath. You can also buy just the butter brickle chips if you don't want the chocolate. I kind of feel like everything's better with chocolate, so especially for the holidays, it's kind of fun to have the extra color to it. And now if you want a copy of any of these recipes that we're making today, you can, if you don't have internet, call the girls at Valley. They'd be happy to get you a copy of the recipe. If you do have internet, go to the Valley homepage, www.valleytel.net, and you'll find the recipes where the Country Cookin' Cow is. We're going to line a baking sheet with parchment paper. And we're going to form this into 2 loaves. And you want the loaves to be about 10 inches long and about 2.5 inches wide, and they will expand a little bit as they bake. Sometimes I take a spatula and kind of even out the sides. Not that it matters, but that one's a little bit bigger than the other one. I kind of distribute it a little better. I'm going to separate them a little more too, because once they bake, they spread. Okay, so they look like this. We're going to cover them with saran wrap, and we're going to let them set for about 30 minutes just so that the flavors start to blend a little bit. So we're going to take a quick break while we let these set, and I'm going to clean up. We'll be right back.
Blazing fast broadband internet from Valley is now available and better than ever. Let us help you decide which speed is best for you. The 50 meg speed would be sufficient for 1 to 4 devices, mainly emailing and surfing the web. Our 100 meg speed works great for 5 to 8 devices and multiple users streaming and downloading video. If you have 8 devices or more that are simultaneously streaming or gaming, or if you have a medium-sized business, the 250 meg speed would work best for you. For extreme heavy home or work from home use, or if you have a medium to large business using 15 or more devices, you may want to consider our 500 meg download speed to fit your needs. And if you're a home or business that needs it all, we have our 1000 meg, 1 gig broadband internet speed. Call our office today at 437-2615 and talk with one of our staff members to pick the speed that's best for you.
Okay, next I'm going to make the Jack Daniel's fudge. This goes really quickly, and so we're going to start with 3.5 cups of milk chocolate chips. It's going to take nearly 2 packs. Okay, I'm going to put this in the microwave and microwave it slowly, just a little bit at a time so that it doesn't gum up. So next we're going to, I've got the chips melted and I've stirred them down so there's no more lumps. This takes exactly a cup of sweetened condensed milk. You'll have just a little bit left in your can, but don't be tempted to throw it in. Do exactly 1 cup of the sweetened condensed milk. Okay, we're going to add a 4th cup of Jack Daniel's. I imagine if you don't have Jack Daniel's, if you have amaretto or some other kind of liquor, or if you something like that, you can do that too. I just have that on hand. I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. And stir that all together. And just keep stirring until it gets smooth. Okay, I lined an 8x8 pan with aluminum foil, and that's where it goes. It's already starting to set up. It goes rather quickly, but I'm going to put it in the freezer so it sets up faster so we can slice it. And you can store it in the refrigerator or store it in the freezer, wherever you like, but it does work best to put it in the freezer to slice it. And what I do then is I slice it into the size pieces that I want, and then I just keep it on a tray in the freezer. So I'm going to put it in the freezer. We're going to clean up. We'll be right back. Okay, it's been 30 minutes, so I'm going to pop these in the oven at 350, and they bake for about 25 minutes. And then we're going to get started on the meatballs. So I have a pound of lean ground beef. To that I'm going to add a half pound of ground pork sausage. And then we're going to add a half cup of breadcrumbs, an egg, a half cup of milk, a fourth cup of finely chopped onion, and then for our spices we've got allspice, a fourth teaspoon, fourth teaspoon of nutmeg, teaspoon of pepper, oops, that was supposed to be a fourth teaspoon, but I like pepper, so it's a fourth teaspoon of pepper. We're going to be a little bit spicy, but that's all right. Teaspoon of salt. And a tablespoon of parsley. I have fresh parsley that I have finely chopped. If you don't have parsley on hand, you can use dried parsley. It'll work just fine. Garlic powder, half teaspoon. This recipe that I use for these meatballs is kind of a combination of several until I got the exact flavor that I wanted. So I'm sure you probably have recipes for Norwegian meatballs or something like that, or other Swedish meatball recipes. This is kind of a combination of several recipes till I got exactly what I wanted. It actually, the recipe that I began with is from a lady that was named Hermione Weatherly. She ran the Cullum Cafe, and I've tweaked her recipe just a little bit. You want to make sure you mix it well so you don't have globs of something somewhere like egg or breadcrumbs or... Okay. I'm going to use the electric frying pan and we'll get it going here. I have a tablespoon of butter. I'm going to add a teaspoon of olive oil. Now this makes about 12 large meatballs or about 20 smaller ones. And I like to make the smaller ones. They cook up faster, and sometimes it's easier if you have smaller ones. People can take as many as they want. I'm just using my cookie dropper. It works to be about the perfect size. Like that. I started my water boiling for the potatoes, and I started my water boiling for the carrots. So we're gonna take a break while I finish making the meatballs. We'll be right back.
Valley is now offering updated digital TV packages and prices. Call Valley today at 437-2615.
So the meatballs are about done cooking. We're going to transfer them to a dish. I'm just using an 8x8 here. I'm going to cover it with foil so that they stay warm. And to the drippings here now, I'm going to throw in 4 tablespoons of flour. What I fried the meatballs in was a teaspoon of olive oil and a tablespoon of butter. So I'm going to mix in this flour and then add 4 tablespoons of butter, 1/4 cup. My husband thinks this is the best gravy he's ever had. So I think it helps when you use quality ingredients. I'm using real beef broth and, you know, Swanson's and butter and all the good stuff. And meatballs are kind of a fun thing to make when you have company or the holidays, or if you're going to a potluck or something like that. It's something that is easy for people to grab. Okay, I'm going to add the 2 cups of beef broth. Turn up my heat just a little bit. I have a cup of heavy cream. Oops. Whoops. At least it wasn't so hot yet. I was recently on the Wanda show and she asked if I ever have any bloopers, and that was one. And of course I do. Of course I have bloopers. I'm going to add a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. This not only gives it flavor, but it will give it a little bit of color. Teaspoon of Dijon mustard. I have it upside down to make it easier to get out, and it kind of switched on me. And salt and pepper to taste. That's always one of those tricky things. You don't want to have too much, and so always err on the side of caution, because you can always add, and your guests can always add, but you can't take it out. So start with about a half teaspoon of salt. And we're going to do just under a half teaspoon of pepper. I've got the potatoes boiling. I'm using 8 red skin potatoes that I have scrubbed and cubed, and to the water I roasted a head of garlic last night. If you don't want to go to that trouble, you can just use like a teaspoon of garlic in the jar, or if you want to press a teaspoon of garlic in there, and that kind of flavors the potatoes as they're boiling. Okay, this is a nice simmer now. I'm just going to turn it down so it doesn't scald a little bit. See how these are doing. Let's check the carrots here. You want to make sure that your carrots are cooked well so that they mash up well, and they aren't going to be 100% smooth. You're going to want them to be a little bit lumpy. Same thing with the red skin mashed potatoes. Those will not be creamy and smooth like you're used to with mashed potatoes. These are going to literally be mashed with a masher and with the skins on, so that it has a little color, has a little flavor, and as you all know, the skins of the potato are where most of the nutrients are. So. And you know me, I'm all about color with your, when you dish up, you want the red skins, give it a little bit of color instead of just plain old white mashed potatoes. So we're going to take a break while everything is cooking and clean up. We'll be right back. Okay, we've got the biscotti out of the oven and we've let it cool for about 10 minutes. So now we're going to cut it into about half-inch slices like this. This is, like I said before, this is kind of a fun thing to give as a hostess gift. You can wrap them in a little bag, put a ribbon on them, and make a nice gift. Now what you want to do is take them and set them on their side in an ungreased baking sheet. Sometimes they'll fall apart. Don't let that get you frustrated. You know, they're kind of crumbly, but it'll bake together. If you can keep it together, get it on the cookie sheet. It'll bake right back together again. Now, I'm going to remind you again, if you want a copy of any of these recipes, and I hope you do, if you don't have internet, give the girls at Valley a call. They'll be happy to send you out a copy. If you do have internet, go to the Valley homepage www.valleytel.net. For the Country Cookin' Cow, click on that and you'll find all the recipes for this show and for any of the other shows, going all the way back to when Mary was doing the show. So now after I get these all on here, I'm going to let them bake for about another 25 minutes. Make sure you do bake them for the entire time because you want them to be crunchy. They are a dunker. It's not something that's going to be a fresh, something that you want to be soft. You want it to be hard and crunchy. My husband eats them even without dunking them, so they're delicious either way, but some people like to dunk their cookies, and this is a fun thing to have. Pick yourself up a pound of gourmet coffee somewhere, and it's a real treat when you have somebody over. They stop by for a cup of coffee. Okay, we'll take a quick break. I'm going to get this in the oven, we'll clean up, and then we're going to get going on the potatoes. We'll be right back.
Internet is here. Valley now has higher broadband speeds of up to 1 gigabit. Get the bandwidth you need for all your devices at one time. Gaming with no lag time. Video stream your favorite movies instantly in HD quality. Video chat with friends and family without interruption. Download your favorite music and photos in seconds. All on our 100% fiber optics network. Valley offers managed Wi-Fi and backup services too, bringing together all the services you need. Valley Telecommunications Cooperative.
We're going to work on the whipped carrots with cranberries. I have the carrots all cooked, and I've thrown them in here with 3 tablespoons of butter. So I'm going to start whipping them. The recipe actually calls for you to use a food processor. A lot of people don't have a food processor. You can use a blender. I've used a blender for it before, but I think it works just as well with just a beater if your carrots are cooked tender enough. Like I said before, you don't want these to be completely smooth. You want them to be a little bit coarse. Okay, to this we're adding a half teaspoon of ginger, a tablespoon of packed light brown sugar, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Really all there is to it. I'm going to add the 4th cup of cranberries. I've got a little bit more than that here. Grab a spoon, spatula. We'll just set those aside and then we'll get working on the potatoes. I have the 8 red skin potatoes that I have cubed, and in the bottom of there I have a half cup of butter. And so the reason I threw those over so that the butter kind of melts. So I'm going to mash it up with a potato masher. I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of half and half. And I have the other teaspoon of roasted garlic. And add an 1/8 teaspoon of granulated sugar. A 1/4 teaspoon of steak seasoning. I'm using Montreal. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. You want to mash those up so that everything is incorporated. Like I said, the recipe calls for you to mash it with a mixer then when you're done, but this really looks about perfect. You want it to be coarse, you want it to be colorful, so I'm going to just leave it as it is. Grab another spatula here. One thing you can never have enough of is you can never have too many spatulas, and you can never have too many 9x13 pans. Especially over the holidays when you start baking all of your cookies and bars, and it seems like, and then you make a pan lasagna and all of a sudden you're out of 9x13 pans. So we've got those. Just check the meatballs are simmering nice. We're just waiting on the biscotti. So we've got the fudge here that I pulled out of the freezer. We're going to cut that into pieces, and you can make them as large or as small as you want. I usually do, you know, kind of little bite-sized pieces. It's a little bit sticky. I like to usually let it chill for, you know, couple hours or so, but this will still work for us. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break while we're waiting for the biscotti to come out. We'll be right
At
back.
Valley Telecommunications, we pride ourselves in providing the home team advantage. But what does that mean? It means going above and beyond to take care of our customers' needs by providing exceptional customer service, because helping you helps all of us. As a cooperative, each time you subscribe to our services, you are investing in our community, which allows all of us to build and benefit from the newest technologies. Make the switch today to Valley Telecommunications and experience the home team advantage.
Okay, we've got everything ready, so we're going to dish. I don't know if I mentioned before, but you can easily double any one of these recipes if you want a few more carrots or whatever. It can easily be doubled. Serve the gravy on the side so everybody can drizzle a little on their potatoes, drizzle a little more on the meatballs, and we're all set. We've got the Swedish meatballs, the red skin mashed potatoes, the whipped carrots with cranberries, the Jack Daniel's whiskey fudge, and the butter brickle biscotti. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Country Cookin'. We hope to see you next time.